out of Nashville, Tennessee. He's a director, he's a producer. He's made music with some of your favorite artists, including Whit Lowry, 44 Phantom, and most famously Mike. He's put out some of his own stuff back in the day. He's the co-founder of Group, Jon Kilmer, ladies and gentlemen. Back to the start. You're living out in New York, working with a bunch of different artists.
I got kind of lucky. My career started when I was actually still in college. I went to school down the road at Hofstra University, which is in Long Island, about 45 minutes from Manhattan. And I was starting to like make my own music, but just for fun. And I'd make like Lonely Island style of music, just like funny songs and stuff like that. And I'd just like mess around with my friends. So I had a recording setup and like a really small recording setup in my dorm room my sophomore year, and then into my junior year when I was in a fraternity, went to the fraternity house. I lived in the basement, and I had like a little studio set up down there that I would like mess around with. And it just so happened that that year, the guy who joined our fraternity lived upstairs from me, was a rapper named Chris Webby, who's from Connecticut. And he was, and just to give context, this is like 2008. So like not common to have home studios. So like if you had recording gear, like you were one of the only people that had recording gear. And also, it was like before Spotify, before streaming. Like MySpace was popular back then. So like I met this kid Chris Webby. He was really popular rapper on MySpace. Had like kind of a decent sized following. Would always like put these mixtapes out on datpiff.com, which was like the way to put out free music back then and have people download it. And he was kind of the first guy I started working with. He's like, "You record music?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I don't work with anyone though." And he goes, "Oh, sweet." So I recorded Webby stuff for like the next 2 years. So I started working with him. Because I worked with Webby, then I started working with other artists while I was still in college. And my senior year, I started working with these artists under this music group called Visionary Music Group, which if you've never heard of them, they're the ones who later signed Logic. And the guy who started that is from Long Island. So I started working with some of their first couple of artists. So by the time I graduated, I was pretty like, I was like kind of starting to be in the music industry a little bit. Like people knew the people I worked with. So when I reached out, it wasn't just like a random guy. It's like worked with these guys and they're like, "Oh, I've heard of those guys. So let's do something together." So I kind of like had a little bit of footing on my ground. So when I graduated, I didn't take any jobs. I'm just going to move to the city with a couple of my friends, live in like a crappy apartment and just figure it out. And just to give context, like it's so expensive to live in New York now. Back in 2010, I think my rent was like $1,100 a month, which is like for New York City, like
Yeah.
it's so like, now it's like you could never live there.
Like 4K. You can't put it.
And that was just my bedroom. I lived with two other people, but like I'm like, all right, $1,100 a month. Like I think I can drum up enough business if I just spend like all day every day trying to freelance and do whatever I got to do to make that much money a month and like a little extra for food to live. So that was like my goal. Some months I fell short, not gonna lie, and like starting out, that's how it is. Some months were very successful, but if anything, like that taught me to grind because it's like it just gave me a goal. It's like, all right, I gotta like I'm just gonna throw myself in the fire and I'm just gonna figure it out. So that kind of burned a fire under my ass to like learn a lot of different trades at the same time. So like I learned engineering, I learned producing, I went to school for film, so I was like shooting music videos. And I just like started learning all these different things that could help artists because in the beginning it's like I get to do as many things as possible to make my rent at the end of the month. So I literally was just like I forget even what we used for social media back then. I think it was Twitter pretty much. Like there was no Instagram wasn't even invented.
It was just like posting pictures,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
I want to say Instagram came around like 2011 or 2012. This is 2010, so like I don't even. The music blogs were very big back then, and I know that like a lot of artists I worked with were getting all these music blogs, especially the music videos I shot. I would have this big pink logo at the beginning of every music video, and then people would see the pink logo and they'd know me from that, and then that would get me booked for other things. So like things kind of like slowly snowballed, but to answer your question, like the first couple of years, I learned a lot of different trades and I reached out to a lot of different artists. Some of them I worked with for like little to no money, and I was making like $100 here, $100 there. I was taking like any gig I could possibly get. And that forced me to work with a lot of artists. It forced me to network with a lot of people. And because of that, a lot of my work got out there as music blogs in different places. And from there, I just started getting a lot more notoriety and getting more gigs to like be self-sustainable.
What's it like now on your side of things when you go in these venues? Are I don't know all of them, but I know the Armory was like 8,000 people capacity, like much bigger shows than what we were doing before. What is that like now from your side of things?
Yeah, I think like slowly is like it's been a slow burn for us. I mean, like you said, it's been 14 years and there's never been a viral moment or something that happened where we went from like little to big. It was just it's been steady growth for 14 years. So um luckily that means for me like it's just been kind of like tiny steps up where like my job just got like a little more serious, then a little more serious, then a little more serious. And thank God it happened that way because like I had to mature as a human being in order to get to where I am now to capture the shows like we're doing it now. Because when we started filming, I literally had like a monopod, like a stick with my camera at the end of it, and I'd just be like shit faced, running around, drinking like as much as humanly possible with everyone else. And there was no like there were no like expectations.
No.
I was just there to like have fun and capture whatever I could.
Mm-hmm.
And like the next day we would like wake up, not remember anything, look at it and be like, oh, that's cool.
That's cool. Let's share that.
Let's put it on YouTube. Cool. And like it was as simple as that. Honestly, I missed those days because there was like there was no pressure, no expectations. And like everything we did was just like super fun. And there was like nothing on the line. And it was just like whatever, we're just having fun, we're young. And if you fast forward to today, like our video department has grown to like shooting 5 to 6 cameras every show. And now I have to like all of a sudden manage all of these videographers and camera team, and we have a live camera feed for the LED wall that's on stage. And I'm running a live camera feed while also capturing the show. And then I'm hiring local videographers in every city we're coming to and vetting them and making sure they can come to the show and help us film. And then we have other like live camera shooting, like big camcorders filming. And at the end of the night, like getting all the footage and organizing all the footage. It's thank God we're only doing like one show a week.
Yeah.
It's like it is a huge operation now. And like we're shooting anywhere from like 500 gigs to a terabyte of footage every show. And just like doing all that with all the different videographers and like organizing all that footage and then turning that around like very quickly into content to like further promote the shows and the tour. It's just like a huge operation now.
Yeah.
And not to mention we're not just capturing the shows, we're capturing like the VIP like meet and greet Q&As before the show, and we do these scavenger hunts, and then we're filming like all the merch and like that side of things. And now we're adding in like these new Stephen Mingle events before shows where we're going to do live podcasts, which I'm going to also like co-host and do stuff with. So like it's just a huge operation now. And like on show days, literally from like the start of the day all the way until 11 or 12 at night, it's just like a 12 to 14 hour sprint of just like literally nonstop. And it makes it more like meaningful now because like I'm just not like hammered drunk and like blacking out anymore, and I'm like actually doing like meaningful work that I very much love, and the outcome, it's like the documentary we just dropped. You look at all that work from last year and last tour and everything we shot, and this is the first time where it's like not just me and one or two other guys filming. Like I had to make a whole credits page of 20 people that helped us film all those shows and everything for that documentary. So just to see all that work kind of come together and into one piece was like it kind of brought it all into perspective for me. It was like, wow, this is like a huge operation. This is really cool.
Like for the most part with everybody, we won't name anyone else, but being able to level up with like the people that you started with. And so, because usually how this works is, you start shooting footage for people at whatever scale you're at, and then you probably don't work with those guys as you progress your career. Usually you both go like your different ways. You might go work with this artist or this artist, but you've kind of been able to, while you've done other endeavors, obviously, you've been able to like maintain that core group for the most part. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's incredible, man. I was talking with Mike yesterday at the rehearsal space because he's in town now. And we were talking about the show Entourage. We used to watch it like in the early days, and we were like, our life's gonna be like this one day. Just like a group of friends, with like Vinny Chase, and they're all kind of just like supporting him, and they're all living together. And then as the years went on, we all moved to Los Angeles in 2016, and then pretty quickly, like our life became the show Entourage. Like we literally manifested it in a way. And now we look at it and we're like, oh, like we used to think that was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
We did all that. And now it's like we're even like beyond that now. We're like we don't even think the whole like Hollywood thing is cool anymore. Like
Yeah.
we're just kind of all like becoming grown men and adults and getting married and starting to go into the next phase of our life. But to answer your question, doing it with friends is the best in the entire world, and it can be a challenge working with friends because it's not just doing your job. You also want to do right by your friend, so it adds that extra layer of not really pressure, but just like you really don't want to let your friend down, And
Yeah.
when you bring that into a work environment, it can be very good. It can be very fruitful. But when things aren't good, then you're letting your friend down, and then it really sucks.
Yeah.
So in a way, like I like it. I personally like it because it just kind of adds a little fuel to the fire for me. And it's like I gotta do right by my friend. And like we built all this together, and all of this that we built is bigger than us now.
Yeah.
We literally started doing it 14 years ago, and we only have a couple of years left. Like we have to do right by each other and just finish this off correctly. And Mike's saying all the time, he's like, "This is it. This is the end. This is the climax." Like we can't we can't stop now. Let's say another year or two left, and then we're all going off into the sunset. So it's like this is the giant legacy that we've all created, and like I just want to do right by it and do the best I can, and just like for lack of a better phrase, leave it all out in the field.
I mean, talking about the podcast, you guys got to a crazy point with that where you had Travis Kelce and eventually Larry King was on there.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like, having these like even higher A-list celebrities like come on and like do the podcast? And
yeah, that was wild because that was still like a transitional phase with our maturity where we were still like taking it out, having a good time, and going out into town and partying a lot still. And at the same time, our jobs were getting really serious. And I talked about this in our last documentary where there was a week where we have Larry King coming into the house and we do an interview with like one of the greatest broadcasting legends of all time. And I'm sitting there like producing this interview. And a week ago, I was like literally trying to chug a beer out of a leaf blower. I'm like, this is
wild.
This is the wildest dichotomy ever because it's like, I don't feel like I even deserve to be in a situation like this. But I mean, we always rise to the occasion. And like when we had big stuff like that, we always, we did it, we executed. But it's just funny to think back then where we were still kind of immature, kind of partying a lot still, like treating our bodies not very well. But getting these like amazing opportunities that we created for ourselves and just executing the crap out of it,
Yeah.
So we're like talking about burning the candle at both ends. Like you really were work hard, play hard.
Player. Yeah. Directed, produced, and put it pretty much all together. Like you were the head dude on this movie and put it out into the world. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so just to give context, this is a movie called The Primrose, which I made in 2017 into 2018. And it was the first feature film I ever made. And it kind of came from an interesting time where I've talked about this on past podcasts, but in 2017, like it was a very slow year for me because Mike was kind of starting that phase into rebranding into Mike Stud to Mike. We weren't touring all that much. We weren't touring all that much. And we weren't shooting a lot of music videos, and Mike was just kind of figuring out his new sound. And I was living in LA with him, just kind of waking up every day to figure I'm like, I don't even know what to do with my time anymore. Like this is kind of like a super downtime. And it's not just a few weeks, it was months and months and months where I'm just sitting around. And I was kind of bummed out, like down in the dumps, because when you wake up and you don't like feel like you have any purpose, it's kind of depressing, honestly. Mm-hmm. And after a few weeks or maybe even months of that, I just something went off in my head where I'm like, I'm just gonna write my first screenplay. Like I didn't even think about making it. I'm just gonna write it. Write a screenplay, 90 pages. I went through a couple different ideas, started over, and then at the end of 2017, I landed on a full script, like 90 to 100 pages long. And then I thought, like I still don't have. It's like getting into 2020, 2018. Like I don't really have much going on the first half of this year either.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna make this movie. Like I don't know the first thing about making movies. I went to film school, but you talk about making a whole feature film.
Yeah.
I know nothing about making movies, but I'm just gonna do it. One of my very good friends from New York City, he's a comedian. He decided to co-produce it with me, and we kind of went in headfirst together on it. And our first step was to crowdfund. We used Kickstarter. We raised $30,000 to $40,000. Even I remember like we went on a tour at one point in the end of 2017, and Mike is so awesome for letting me do this, but he let me like sell these VIP packages that was like spend a night with Jon Kilmer.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was like $250, and it was all the proceeds went towards my movie, but like you'd basically like get free VIP to the show, and then after the show we'd like go out and buy you like a bunch of beers to get you fucked up.
Yeah, that's the time.
And you get like your own lanyard and everything with my stupid face on it. And like I did a bunch of those on one tour, and I raised some money that way as well. But I just like really scrapped together all this money, and then after you get the money, you're like, all right, now I actually have to like put this money and make a movie. So
Yeah.
like then at the beginning of 2018, we're like producing this movie. We spent a couple months like planning it out. We're planning the locations and the actors and the people and the crew. And like, I didn't make it easy on myself because the film had
a lot of people.
like 15 to 20 characters. And I'm like, if I could go back, I'd just like wring my neck. What are you doing? Make a movie with 3 characters.
Make it simple.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what Grouped has meant for artists and kind of what the background is of what Group is as an app and how it facilitates artist growth and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The genesis of Group, I'm going to blow your mind because it's a crazy full circle moment. I'll start by saying Mike wanted to do like the subscription monthly subscription business model a while ago, like probably around 2021 maybe. Like he wanted to start doing that, and no musicians were doing a monthly subscription model. Like it was completely foreign. We partnered with another like Group didn't exist yet. We partnered with another company, and they were a startup, and it was kind of
that.
it was kind of a train wreck, but like we made it work, and we kind of built our Only Steve's monthly subscription for our fans community for about 2 years with that company. And I wouldn't say it was awful, but like it wasn't as good as it could have been because they were just a very new company and very young. And then all of a sudden this offer comes by, this opportunity where my friend Tim Weber, who earlier in this interview, I talked about the blog goodmusicallday.com,
right,
which is where I kind of got my start, where all like my music videos and all the people I worked with were on that blog. Tim Weber ran that blog back then, and I was very close with him. And like this is 2011 since I've known him, and we would talk to you here and there. We would always catch up every now and again. But around 2022, he comes around and says, "Hey, like I see what you and Mike are doing with the subscription thing. We're building a new platform that is for online communities just for musicians. We want to use what you guys have done and your business model and make a whole platform out of it and help other artists do the exact same thing." And at the time, it was just Tim and the other CEO at the time, Finn. It was just the two of them. So then they brought Mike and I on to kind of like help build this platform. And they brought on the artist Nick D. They brought him on. He's another like amazing independent artist. And we started Grouped, and we decided to just use what we did with Only Steve's. And we brought our whole community to Grouped, and we built a platform based on everything we learned and started bringing artists into it. So today, like the company Grouped is a couple years old now. It's on its third year, I believe, and time has been flying. But I can't believe I've been working with them for like about 2 years now. But the company is growing like really amazingly. We have some amazing artists on the platform, and it's proven that online communities are very beneficial for independent artists.
Yeah, and another project that you've kind of worked on that really helps to support artists is this artist community that's kind of like a tag on that has a group sector to it as well.
Yeah.
Kind of talk a little bit about how you and Tim and Griff have gone about like creating that into what it is now.
Yeah, so we wanted to create the artist community, which is an free online community on the Group platform, and it's specifically just to give free game to artists, have the layer of education, and just a safe space for artists to just share their music and everyone to kind of like listen and give feedback. We do these awesome live streams every Tuesday night called Tackler, which is the artist community live review, and it's just kind of like a fun like hour and a half of just like artists sharing their unreleased music, and usually myself, Tim, Jay Griff, and like a special guest musician will be there, and we'll just listen through songs, and we'll invite like the artist on, and we'll chop it up with them, and we'll go through like 8 to 10 songs a week. We've been doing that for, I think we just had our 15th week this past Tuesday. So we do that on there, and we do blog posts on there. We do artist interviews. Like we're just trying to make like just a free online community to like where artists can just like engage with other artists and other creatives and just learn as much as they possibly can, just free education. And that's kind of what Group is all about. Like our whole mission statement is to empower artists and to help them engage with their fans better. So the artist community is just a really good reflection of all that.
Yeah. And you've kind of done that throughout your whole career outside of like directing that movie. You know, you've always supported and kind of been a glue guy in a lot of situations to kind of create and help others along their journey. Is that something you always knew you were going to get into, or is it kind of just grown in that direction?
Yeah, I like woke up one day and I was like, wow, I've been in the music industry for 17 years and I don't know where the time went, but I'm now in a place where there's all these younger artists that are, 10, 12 years younger than me that are just starting out or just starting to see some success or just in the beginning of their journey. And I'm now in a place where I can benefit them with my experiential wisdom and like my knowledge of for what I've done and working with Mike and growing to the level we're at. And that's every artist's dream, and every independent artist's dream. They see Mike, they're like, I want to do that. I want to sell out amphitheaters and have these grassroots fans and diehard fans. And I feel like very blessed to be in a position where I can now help young artists and kind of based on our experience shed like a little bit of light on like what they could do to improve like their career. And it's just really I don't know, it's really cool. I didn't think I'd be at that point, and I now feeling that I'm like old in the music industry just feels weird. But I like genuinely enjoy it. I love helping people and I love being in a position where I can help people.
Yeah. And kind of like for any up and coming artists that are like just starting out or just kind of trying to find their footing, what is the best advice you think you could give to them?
I think right now, if I were to give any advice to an up and coming artist, I think this is like a really tough time to come up as an artist for a lot of reasons. One, there's such an oversaturation in the market where there are so many songs there's like 100,000 songs being uploaded like every day. And there's so many artists, there's more artists than ever by a long shot. And that's just going to keep growing, especially with AI. It's going to be easier and easier and easier to make music. Right now, all we have as artists is our individuality. And if you're not doing anything to show your individual self, to your fans, then it's going to be really hard for you to make it as a fan and grow real fans. So I can't really give the answer on how to do that because there's a bunch of different ways and a bunch of different things work for different people. Some people podcast, some people live stream, some people make vlogs. Like there's a million different ways to do it. But I think like showing your true authentic self outside of the music is super important. And the second thing I'll say is it's really hard on artists today because of the immediate gratification of the algorithmic platforms where all these vanity numbers kind of people strive towards these vanity numbers instead of striving towards like actual real fans. And it's just like I get it, like you want to keep making these clips and every now and again one of them will get 200,000 views or a million views and you're like, oh, this is really cool. And then that becomes their kind of main focus where that's really just like the top of the funnel. And like the way I kind of explain it is there's like the discovery phase where you should use the algorithmic platforms because that's how you get your name out there and that's how you bring in new people. But then people stop there. They're like, it's a kind of all a means to an end, which is a real bummer. And people get that immediate gratification of like, oh, I didn't really have to work super hard and I got this one thing to go viral. I'm like, that's great. I'm going to keep doing that. And you don't really gain a lot of real fans that way. Some people have, but it's just not that common. And I think like a lot of artists need to have a little more patience, not just patience, but also turn those like somewhat engaged fans into more meaningful fans by letting their authentic selves out there and putting themselves out there through a little bit longer form content. So if I were to give it, I know that's like a long winded answer, but I would just say like, yeah, be patient and be yourself. And it's not going to happen overnight. And if you want a true grassroots fan base and have really long term fans, like you got to put in the work and you just got to be patient because it's not going to happen in a year, 2 years, or 3 years. Like I'm talking as someone that's 14 years in and like we're still trying to grow new fans. And we've literally just had our head down and grinded for 14 years, and it didn't happen overnight. And the first couple of years were tough, and we just kept doing it, and we kept putting ourselves out there authentically, and that's how we grew a lot of like super engaged fans. So that'd be my advice to everyone.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, sir, for coming out
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome to have you.
Yeah.
First ever guest in the new spot. So
Here we are. I love it.
Thank you.